A former ABC journalist is set to take the reins of an orphanage in Cambodia. Sunrise Cambodia has been run by Australian woman Geraldine Cox for decades, but she's now stepping aside after appointing Tracy Shelton as her successor. Let's speak to Tracy Shelton now. Tracy, thank you so much for your time. This is such a huge decision. Why did you want to take on this responsibility?
Yeah, it is a big move. It's a lot of kids to take care of, but I've been involved with Sunrise for 23 years now, and the kids mean the world to me. And so as soon as Geraldine asked me, it was a no-brainer. I didn't even have to think about it for a second. It just felt so right.
How important is the orphanage? Tell us about some of the children there.
Some of them, they come to us after they've been orphaned, not just through terminal illnesses, but sometimes through treatable illnesses or accidents where the family just couldn't afford treatment or surgery. Others have been abandoned. We have some kids that were left in either hospitals or places like that as toddlers or as babies. And some were begging in the streets, working in garbage, collecting garbage, recycling. We just had 9 kids come to us from a brick factory that were aged from 7 to about 11, never had any education. They were working 7 days a week as slave labourers in this place. And the government went in and raided this brick factory and asked us if we could take these kids. And there's many more that are still working there that we're hoping to raise the funds to get them out as well. And other children just come to us from abusive backgrounds or families that just can't care for them anymore.
Gosh, that's heartbreaking that some of the children are being used as slave labour. It's a remarkable devotion on your part. What was it about Geraldine Cox that drew you in and kept you going back as a volunteer for 20 years?
Well, when I was young, I'd always wanted to be an aid worker. And after I finished high school, I saw Geraldine in an interview on TV. And I was just in awe of her. I remember ironically thinking at the time, I wish I could be like her. And so I reached out and I volunteered and I went over and I fell in love with the kids. And Geraldine became like a mentor to me. I realized actually in that visit, I realized very quickly that I'd been a little bit arrogant to think I could just sort of fly in and change the world or, save these kids. And they also had Geraldine. So they didn't need me there permanently. So I ended up finding my own path in journalism. But they were still a huge part of my life. And I saw them grow up. I've been to like those first generations. Now that there's a whole lot of new kids as well, but even the older ones, I've been to their graduations. I've seen them get married. I've met their kids when they were born. And so they're like family to me, my best friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me a little bit about the funding that's required to keep Sunrise Cambodia going.
Well, we rely entirely on donations and sponsors. Sponsors are particularly important because that's money we know is coming in every month. So it's much easier to plan what we can actually afford to do for the kids and run regular programs through that funding. And of course, big donations are always welcome as well. But it was very difficult through COVID. Obviously, a lot of people were really struggling. We lost a lot of sponsors and we got to a point where we almost closed. It was really scary. Things are picking up again now, but we're still at a point where we're sort of living month to month with our planning because we never really know how much is coming in. So we're desperately hoping to get more, particularly regular sponsors, so that we can rely on that money that's coming. And we have programs where you can sponsor a child or be a general sponsor, and we've just opened sponsoring a teacher as well. So we're hoping to get a lot more people on board, but so far the response has been amazing. Especially from Australia, we get most of our funding through the Australian community. So yeah, we're really grateful for that.
Tracy Shelton, I know you can't play favourites with children, but you must have some who have really touched you over the years.
Oh, so many. Yeah, it's very hard to. I think it's impossible to pick a favourite because there's just so many kids that I've been so close to. I guess I'll probably mention Saran because she lives with me here. She's actually back in Cambodia for a few weeks at the moment. Otherwise, I could have had her with me. But she's been in, well, I've known her since she was 12. She first came to Sunrise, and she won a scholarship to study here in Melbourne. And so she's been with me for a couple of years living here in Melbourne and studying here. And it's just been such a joy to have her here. She had a very difficult upbringing. She was very sick when she was young, and her family had spent a lot of money on trying to treat her. And eventually she was left living with her grandmother, with her brother, and they were brought to Sunrise. And she'd never had an education at that point. So she really just took every opportunity that she had at Sunrise. And she's doing fantastic. This is her second degree. She's done a degree already in Cambodia. And she's just been a joy to have here because, especially through COVID, because we were in lockdown together in Melbourne for so long. And I think I would have gone crazy if it was just me. But so we've become very close.
Well, it really puts some of our everyday problems into perspective when you tell us Saran's story. When do you make the move, Tracy?
It'll be sometime next year, probably around the middle or later next year. We haven't set an official date yet. I'm slowly taking over, spending about half my time in Cambodia and half my time here and learning the ropes from Geraldine. And when I do move over, Geraldine she's made it very clear she's not going anywhere. She's definitely going to be staying at Sunrise. And as she says, until they carry her out in a body bag. But so she will be living there with me as well. But I'll be taking over all of the day-to-day duties, and she'll just be enjoying her retirement and hanging out with the kids.
Well, Tracy Shelton, we wish you all the best in your next adventure. Please keep in touch and keep us updated on the goings-on at Sunrise Cambodia.
Thanks so much for having me.